Hey guys, in an earlier video I took you to a local plantation here in North Carolina and showed you some different plants that could be used medicinally and edibly. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about that and share with you a video that I took earlier in the spring that has some more plants that can be used or potentially not used. In the 18th century, they wouldn't have just grown their food, they would have also foraged for it. So if you lived in a farm dwelling, a homestead, or maybe you were a camp follower, you would want to know about different herbs and edible plants that were growing near you. I use a couple of books whenever I'm learning about 18th century medicinals, and the first one is Southern Folk Medicine, 1750 to 1820. It has so much wonderful knowledge about the different remedies that they would use. Some of them are a little kooky. They include things like cow and chicken manure and dirt and stuff like that. So I'm not sure that I would use all of them in there, but it is fun to learn about what they did. Another book that I use is The Forager's Harvest. It has a lot of plants that grow, especially here in Eastern America and potentially as far as the Midwest. And I also use an app on my smartphone called Picture This. Literally, you just take the app, take a picture of the plant, and almost 100% of the time it pulls up what it is. And then from there I look it up on the internet to find out what it's used for. So I hope that you enjoy the video and I hope you learned something. Thanks. The first plant I have here for you is wild mustard. It is kind of interesting looking, has these lovely yellow flowers and leaves on them. I usually use the flowers for dyeing yarn a lovely yellow color, but the whole plant is actually edible. The greens, they are best when young and tender. The older ones kind of have a tendency to be a bit strong, maybe a little spicy to some people. The flowers and seeds are also edible. It also has herbal uses. You can make a paste or plaster out of it, out of the seeds, for sore joints, chest congestion, swelling and pain, and it can also help with headaches if you drink it in a tea. This is ribwort plantain, and this is actually the post that I made yesterday. It is edible, it's very nutritious, contains calcium and vitamin A, C, and K. So the young leaves can be eaten raw, but the bigger leaves are probably better cooked because they have a tendency to get tough. It tastes great if you cook it like kale chips. I like to toss it with a little bit of coconut oil, garlic powder, and salt, and then put it in the dehydrator, but you can also put it in the oven and cook it on low. Medicinally, it is good to help with bleeding. It's antimicrobial, promotes the healing of new skin, helps with inflammation, ulcers. It's an external antihistamine, which means it's great for bug bites and stings. It's a astringent, demulcent, expectorant, so it's very good if you turn it into like a cough syrup. Internally, the leaves are used for loose bowels, gastritis, irritable bowel syndrome, bleeding, hemorrhoids, bronchitis, sinusitis, and asthma. So it has a whole slew of things that it's good for. Next, we have the purple dead nettle. It is part of the mint family. Leaves and flowers are edible. It is a laxative and stimulant. It has diuretic and sweat promoting properties. Bruised leaves placed on wounds help to staunch bleeding. It helps to heal. May be used in salads or cooked in soups and sauces. Provides vitamin C, iron, and fiber, among other minerals. And over next to it, we have the closely related henbit. It's very nutritious. It's higher in iron, vitamins, and fiber, and it can also be eaten raw. It's very similar to the purple dead nettle. Next, we have yellow wood sorrel. Whenever I was a kid, we always called this the pickle plant because it has a bit of a sour taste to it, and whenever the flowers are done, then it has a little seed pod that reminded me of a cucumber. So it is edible, but in moderation. It can be toxic to people with kidney problems. It is a diuretic, a coolant, astringent, and stomach smoother. Now we have the lovely sweet violet. The leaves have antiseptic properties, can be used in ointments for bruises and wounds, can be made into a tea or syrup for inflammation or coughs, also can be used for throat cancer. Flowers are slightly laxative and a gentle expectorant. Roots and seeds are purgative, work for spleen and gout. Flowers are edible and sweet. Leaves can also be used in a salve. We used to make it whenever my children would get sores on their lips, and that would take care of it. Next we have the cleaver. Cleaver is kind of a sticky Velcro plant. If you walk next to it, then it's going to end up clinging to your clothes. The tips can be eaten when they're young, so probably from about here up. It can be eaten raw that way, or it can be boiled for 10 to 15 minutes. You can roast the seeds and use it as a coffee substitute. It has vitamin C, and if you drink it in a tea, then it is good for your lymph system. Here we have the May apple. I don't know a whole lot about the May apple, but I have read that it can be toxic, but it does have some medicinal uses that if used carefully, you can use it. It has a little berry that will, or maybe that's going to be a flower, I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know a lot about the May apple, but I do think it's an interesting looking plant. As always, please do your own research about these plants. Don't take my word for it. There's lots of differing information out there. So before you go and use these plants or ingest it, you really do have to do your own research. And I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye.